Assistant Director of System Implementation at HOTPACK Global, Mr. JASIR finished his schooling in Millennium School. As one of the toppers in the management courses, he excelled in extracurricular activities by participating in inter-school tournaments. This genius maintained a high-level GPA during university in Heriot-Watt University by achieving an honorary distinction in MA Business and Finance degree. He was selected as the top second idea for the startup project on creating a viable business plan. Gulf Madhyamam proudly welcomes Mr. JASIR to the prestigious event of Come On Kerala Business Conclave.
A very warm welcome to my session, and thank you Come On Kerala for inviting me to this stage. This is actually my first public speaking. Thank you so much, because these are the applauses that push me further to do more and more. As you can see, my father is a big personality in this industry and in this community as well. And it's a big honor if I could be filling in his shoes. Yeah. Before we get into the topic, the perception of a new business, could we have some hands up? Is there any next generation millennials or Gen Zs over here? I just want to get an overlook. Okay, not much. So it is my own perspective. This was a topic that was not discussed in this Come On Kerala, because I was given another topic. So my father told, why not take a topic that you can correlate? So this is where my perception, how as a new generation, how can I cope up with the fundamentals, the values, the culture, those sort of things. And this is also a big topic because my research study in the university of the final year was based on this. So I'll give in more insights about this. So why it is important is two reasons actually. The first reason being, there are 100% family businesses working efficiently in the first generation profitably. But when it comes to the second generation, only around 30% of them go into the second generation, which is a very cost effect for me, as well as only 12% goes into the third generation. This is a very eye-opener because there might be many challenges regarding this. It might be due to the successor, his fundamentals not being strong, his foundation for key operations not being strong, or not engaging with the right values, culture, business character. So those are the things which might be into the picture. The second one is that new generations have typically new ideas and new opportunity in line. So they might come into the big business, they might pitch in a big idea which might not be in a realistic manner or a practical approach. So we have talked about that. Maybe it's a good thing they might be bringing new ideas, but maybe it might be a bad thing they're focusing too much on the newer ideas, but not being the fundamentals being strong. So as you can see, in this last 10 years, from 2018 maybe, we have gone into the sector where the first generation has developed into the new generational, next generational developments. E-commerce. I was personally involved in the e-commerce initiative. There's so many of my colleagues here who would remember those days. We had a huge pandemic involvement as well, because we were into the masks and the hygiene, which was essential for COVID pandemic. And we had to do a lot of CSR and those sort of things. So e-commerce, we have the Smart Industry Award, which was awarded by the Dubai Quality Awards for following Industry 4.0 standards and using AI in our manufacturing facilities. So that is a big honor from the Dubai government for us. And the next one is biodegradable packaging. So the biodegradable packaging is in the sustainable forefront. That's because you might have seen our stall. That is where the industry is focused upon, having holistic approach of the sustainable products in this market, because the demands are huge, but the sustainable solutions are coming up slowly. So how can we tackle this? So I have an interesting story for this slide. As you all know, the brand Apple, right? Apple. Even though Steve Jobs was heavily involved in his operations, he knew that someday, due to unforeseen events, he might be not there. So there might be someone like Steve Jobs in his seat. So he knew that this would happen and he inaugurated the facility of Apple University, wherein key leadership curriculum roles was given to the good leaders or good managers, where they would be teaching them supply chain, sales, marketing, those sort of key areas which Apple have invested a lot. They should be experiencing a lot on that forefront. So Tim Cook's, the current CEO, he has gone through these specific courses, curriculum, where they are taught to have what Steve Jobs would think, what Steve Jobs' decisions would be. So they have been taught in such a way that the successor has been planned way before. So that's why Apple is still the most valued company in the world. So that's the same reason we have HOTPACK University. It's quite natural. My dad says, why spend a lot of time in the actual university? There are benefits, but at the same time, you have a lot to learn from your HOTPACK. That means your business. Because I have a lot of HOTPACK professors. That is coming from supply chain, Mr. Ziad, coming from export sales, Mr. Titu, coming from business development, Mr. Sham, coming from e-commerce, Mr. Wasim, the GM itself, all of my uncles, my manufacturing mentor, all of them has helped me think in a certain way what currently the HOTPACK is thinking. So my involvement is learning all these aspects properly. Hence, I can make a proper decision when it comes in place. So that's where I have a library worth of information from all of these mentors. So I can take a proper decision according to what the family would have think, what my dad would have thought, or what the manager would have thought. So instantly I could connect with them even though I don't have much of the experience. So the next one is my own perspective. Obviously, if you have the next generation in the business, they might have their own perspective. It is normal to have. They might have some other vision of completely entire different to me. But my perspective is that engaging 100% with the business activities. That is, I have assumed certain roles and responsibilities for myself. So it is not something small, it adds value to the business. So that's where I'll be talking about digital transformation journey of HOTPACK. So I have tapped into several departments. I went from sales coordination. Actually, there's an interesting story there. At 8 years old, my dad, he took me to the packing area. We call the packing area, where we take cartons of production and we pack in a shrink film and put stickers, branded stickers over it. He used to give me 1 dirham per hour. And he has evolved me, he has made me think that these sort of experience matter when you reach a certain level, because you have eyesight, focused eyesight over everything. So that's where I have assumed a lot of roles and responsibilities. And I have taken a lot of family values and culture that it might be different from my actual university study or actual academic study in my schooling. So, which is a bit different. So engaging 100% with my business activities is very important to me because it gives a holistic view of what my current company is and what I want to envision the next generation should be. So as I said before, I've gone through a research journal. It's actually published. It might be in Google in maybe 2 months or time. It's gone for a review check. But with the help of professor from my university, from Heriot Watt, as well as Sheikh Zayed University, I have come up with this topic where I have interviewed 16 board-level managers, and they all know that the problem statement is very similar, that the next generation, the successor, has no plan in forward or no corporate governance in forward because it might be expensive or it might be a very sentimental issue that there has to be someone taking over. There might be many other issues which is coming forward, but the problem statement was similar around all 16 companies that I interviewed. And we can see that is why I have been doing this session. Is some of the snapshots from my report. It is a 40-page report, and it goes in the exact framework of how a research journal should be done. I spoke about digital transformation projects. The reason why I came into this particular operational because I saw a gap in this particular area where I could have, me as the next generation, I have been open to new area of expertise into the digital world by incorporating digital transaction right from our purchases to the sales. So the entire circular workflow of HOTPACK should be digital in terms of anything that it's to be done. So major focus is on manufacturing area because we have achieved the industry award. We have to keep improving to get the new awards as well in the manufacturing area. So I've been attending many trainings, many people who have evolved in this IT field, which helps me to have a utilizing tool that adds value to the HOTPACK team. And this is also a strategical move from my father because when you talk about ERP, as you can see, ERP, it is a proper system for an entire organization. So when you come into an organization fresh, you might not have an idea of sales, how it is happening currently, because it might be different in different companies. So ERP gave me a full view of how things happen in HOTPACK. From that, I knew what all changes has to be done. So that's where he put me into these ERP projects. So he knew I could get an experience of the entire facets of operations. So be it manufacturing. I was in a manufacturing ERP implementation for 3 months. So I used to stay in Numalquin away from my family. I used to be there in 12 o'clock in the night to complete the projects. So this gave me an entire view of how a business runs in terms of manufacturing, sales, purchase, supply chain, marketing, all that. So this was my focused eyesight. So the next generation, when they come into business, they should always have a focused eyesight of what their value is. So even my father, he has a assumed role as well. He's the main guy for sourcing machineries, interacting with the delegates, and those sort of thing. He himself has taken his own responsibilities, and in certain way, my uncles, they have taken their own responsibilities. So that way, I took my own responsibility, which is the digital transformation. And the next one is digital presence. Obviously, when I was in the e-commerce space, I had a lot of eyesights into the digital marketing. So I thought of having a lot of bringing a new outlook for the brand. So the brand is right now the region's #1. I can say it proudly. Now our focus should be on the world's #1. So in order to do that, we have to, thank you, we have to reach our brand at a global level. So when you think USA, father told about 2,000 containers going into US. So we are establishing our brand in the certain continents that we have. We need to be the #1. In order to do that, we have to have a digital brand. So branding is very important, which gives a separate line from the competitors. The next one is sustainability, because the next generation, as you can all know, sustainability is a very forefront thing for the packaging industry. It's because there is no real solutions for a sustainable packaging product. So we want to, that is where Malaysia comes in place. As you all know from our LinkedIn profile, we have invested around 360 million dirhams in the Malaysian project to come up with real sustainable solution which caters the current demands. So that is using agricultural waste, biomass waste, and using products. It might be a bit more expensive, but our focus level is to maintaining the manufacturing performance, convenience, and give it at a low cost. So currently, all the sustainable products are at a bit higher cost than the normal plastics or aluminum or paper. But we'll have to look into the opportunity of having it catered to the right demand as well as the cost measure. And we are also embracing eco-alternatives wherever possible. So that's where e-commerce, we have a dedicated website for eco products where you can purchase, you can see the viability of, for your restaurants or where your business, how much of it is it costing, and which all area that you can serve your particular things in our packaging. The next one is the most important one, which is the fundamentals. I always say, for me, the new opportunities are good, but at the same time, your fundamentals or your foundation should be very strong. Because if you can't sustain the current growth level that we are achieving, it might be a bad phase. So I want to focus on the fundamentals, which is very important, and this would give us the way forward to think forward, where we can make slight changes or where we can make practical changes for a sustainable growth. And also, yeah, preserving our values and culture and the shared vision. Some of the research findings that was able to get it from our external sources from Deloitte, they have some of the things where they have established certain things, as you can read, expressed an interest. So I am here in this stage because I have expressed an interest in taking over or being in the company. So one of the things I don't agree with this is having experience outside of the company. I'll tell you the reason why, because when you go outside the company, I would not have the entire picture of how a company runs. I might have a picture of how much the company runs as on which department, but I will only get focused view. If I was to be in marketing, I would only get marketing knowledge. But in HOTPACK, I'm getting all around knowledge. And then I can improve, or I can further it down by learning from other sources, from external bodies, external stakeholders. This one is, again, a very relatable findings. As you can see, majority, the 32% of them were involved in the new business since their childhood. So that's where it comes to an important point for the current generation. When you have your son or daughter, it should be important that if you're willing to take him or her forward, it should be important that they cater now itself, thinking that, saying that this is what we do, this is what we do. And the vision should be communicated very often. So Vishwas was something that was brought forward in our company vision 2025. It is our 7 strong core values that HOTPACK has, which every employee, every director, every senior manager should embed in. So I will be telling each points where we have to work as a current generation as well as the next generation. So the innovation, you have to be constantly learning and upscaling your knowledge. And you, as I said before, you have to create a space for realistic idea in a practical approach. So you have to continuously innovate, even if it's the current generation, the new generation, but both of them should think in the practical approach in a realistic manner. That is where innovation comes. Sense of ownership. You will have to encourage the notion of accountability. I should be accountable to take over this area of expertise. So I need to have that engagement 100%, which I mentioned before. So the next generation as well as the current generation, it is most applicable where you have a sense of ownership when you're 100% engaged with your business. The next one is agility, agile, going fast, making decision faster. But how can you achieve decision faster? When you only learn your basics and fundamentals, as I said before. Once you only learn that particular facets of fundamentals and strong foundations, you will only be able to take the right direction. So that is where I want to emphasize agility. It is very core to our HOTPACK organization where decisions are made very quick, apart from a very corporate culture. That is what you usually see. Passion. Passion is a very hard thing to find for ourselves. But passion in work, when you find it, when you designate an area of responsibility, that is myself, into the digital transformation, when you find that passion, you'll have to closely work within that field to improve further and further, like how others, even the directors, even the MD, GM, technical directors, the senior managers, all of them should instill passion so that they can improve upon their current area of responsibility. Teamwork is providing a collaborative environment. So environment where all of us, even including the internal stakeholders as well as the external stakeholders, we should have a shared vision. Vision to be recognized as the #1 leading packaging manufacturer. So that shared vision is something close to us. So obviously when current generation and the future generation is there, you'll have to communicate what your vision is. I need to reach at this level, or I need to do this level. So they will have that subconscious mind working towards that. Compassion, the last one, it is something very close to us where we care about everything. When MD, my father said about the example of an employee having cancer. So this implies, family businesses in general implies longevity. What I mean is family businesses don't focus on short-term gains. In America, do you see where they build a business, they build a brand, they build a revenue stream, they reach a certain profitability rate, but then the next step is to sell it at a higher return to someone else. But that's not the case in family businesses. Family businesses in Asian countries, Southeast Asian countries, even in European region, they always focus on the long-term goals. They want to give a lot of jobs. They want to have a good society appreciation. They want to provide a lot of CSR activities. So that's where compassion comes in place. So that's it about my study. Hope you have got a good understanding of how a next generation feels like. And thank you, Gulf Madhyamam, for giving me this opportunity.